Our topic today is how to get published in Outlook magazine. This is a question we're often asked, and this presentation will outline the process for you from story idea to publication. Outlook is the official publication of the Mid-American Union for providing news and inspiration. It's a spiritual resource that many church members read on Friday evenings. It also functions as a tool to help connect us and strengthen and grow ministry across our territory.
And reading about what others are doing can be very encouraging. It can also inspire them to come up with their own ideas for ministry and help empower them to take action.
Here's some basic information about the magazine. Outlook currently produces 10 issues yearly. Circulation is about 25,000 homes. Every Adventist who is a member of a church in Mid-America is entitled to receive Outlook at no cost to themselves. So, with that background, let's dive into how to get your articles published in Outlook. Now, some of you may be new to church communication, so we'll keep it pretty basic now and then have time for Q&A at the end.
Remember, you don't need a title in order to share a story. Just like the gospel is not only to be shared by the pastor, it is all of our responsibility to share the good news of Christ. So this is for everyone within the Mid-American Union body of Christ who has a story that needs to be told. No story is too small. We never know what the implications will be when God is involved.
First, we'll talk about how to get started, then how to structure your article, and finally how to submit it for publication. Number 1, choose your topic. All the activities and ministries of your church have story possibilities, everything from Sabbath school classes to soup kitchens.
Our suggestion is to focus on writing about people. People like to learn about other people.
When considering a topic, ask, is it innovative? What aspect of your story is new, significant, or interesting? A unique approach to ministry may inspire others to try a similar ministry. Is it historical? When celebrating a particular anniversary for your church or school, document key people, dates, and events from the past, and ask what made an impact. Does it demonstrate diversity? Of course, not every story needs to meet this criteria, but overall, look for stories that feature women and men, a variety of age groups, and different language groups within your church. Number 2, set your deadlines. In the news world, everything revolves around deadlines, and most news stories have a shelf life of only a few weeks. So the more quickly you can report your story, the better.
Because of printing schedules, Outlook magazine normally arrives in mailboxes about 6 weeks after they are submitted. So if you can submit within 2 weeks of the event you're writing about, it's considered timely. If someone is helping you gather the information, give them a deadline of, say, 2 to 3 days earlier than you actually think you need it. And if you're having someone else take photos, give them a deadline of 2 to 3 days after the event for getting the photos to you.
Number 3, gather information. Every article needs to gather the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. Make sure you have all the facts. Also, when you're writing about a particular event, you'll want to get comments from several people who attended that event, as well as those who organized it. Remember to also include their title: church member, deaconess, Sabbath school teacher, etc.
Sometimes you can ask your questions before the event, as well as get pictures, because it may be hard to get a hold of people after an event has ended. So think, what can I obtain prior to the event? Also, don't quote yourself in a story for which you are the author. This feels very awkward, so get a comment from someone else whenever possible.
Number 4, consider your audience. You're finally ready to write that first draft. But remember, the general audience has about an 8th grade reading level. So the best method is to use simple, concise language. The simple word is the best word. The simple sentence is better than the complicated sentence.
Also, let's talk for a moment about avoiding jargon. Adventism has its own language. Don't assume all readers possess the same familiarity with Adventist church culture. New members may not understand terms such as ingathering, Loma Linda foods, Vespers, the NAD, the GC. Replace that language with words like fundraisers, Friday night services, meat substitutes. Also, avoid religious cliches such as season of prayer, high Sabbath, or traveling mercies, unless you explain them.
A further consideration is impact. How could the story open new channels of understanding or action for readers? As Christian communicators, we have the unique opportunity to not only inform, but also inspire our audiences and help them want to get involved in their own churches. Number 5, structure your story. At Outlook, we work on the same principle as newspapers. We often have more content than will fit the pages, and stories get cut to match the available space. Using the inverted pyramid structure can help you organize your story. All the important information is at the top, and the details are at the end. The first sentence in a news story is the most important, and by the end of the first paragraph, readers should know who, what, when, where, and why. The advantage to using the inverted pyramid style is that it puts the information in logical order from the most important to the least important. The disadvantage to using the pyramid is that the reader's interest tends to diminish. This is a good reason to keep articles short.
Around 500 words is an optimal length for Outlook, plus 1 to 3 photos. An exception is when you have a great photo, but not much of a story. We do run photo caption stories as short as 3 to 4 sentences. That's around 100 words.
Within the church structure, your goal will usually be to communicate positive news. Your audience anticipates this. However, we don't want to put words in people's mouths or feelings in their hearts, because that can come across as manipulation.
In religious news, there's often the temptation to include things that are not facts. For example, everyone received a blessing. Unless you asked everyone there and they said they received a blessing, it's not a fact. Instead, get a quote from several people saying how they were blessed. Report what happened and report people's reactions. Find out background information and plans for the future. That's what will make your story interesting.
Number 6, choose your voice. News writing style is third person, so avoid using I, we, or us. News stories should include first and last names of anyone mentioned. References to events, churches, or schools should also include the city and state. The same goes for photo captions. Use full sentences to explain activities and identify individuals from left to right with first and last names. Always double-check the spelling of names.
Remember to include the name of the photographer with your photo, so that person receives credit for their work.
Number 7, revise. Check for grammar, spelling, clarity. Try using a program like Grammarly.com. But even with spell check and grammar check, you still want to read your article carefully from beginning to end, and then ask someone else to proof it.
It's important to use our church name correctly. For instance, Seventh-day Adventists should be the first reference, and then the second reference, Adventists. To view our church's identity standards, go to adventist.org. Hover over Our Church and click Identity.
Number 8, send it off and enjoy knowing you are making a difference. If you're submitting to your local conference for their newsletter, website, or sending on to Outlook Magazine, you'll want to email the story as soon as it's ready, along with at least one good photo.
The minimum photo resolution we can use is 500 kilobytes, or KB. When you attach a photo to your email, it usually tells you how big the file is. Most newer cell phones can get high enough resolution as long as the image isn't compressed when being sent.
Here's the current contact info for your conference news editors. These are the individuals who choose which stories will appear on each conference's page spread in the Outlook.
Each conference news editor relies on local churches to send stories every month for their page spread. You are the heart and soul of the Adventist story, and we appreciate every effort to help share our collective journey.
You can check our monthly deadlines at outlookmag.org/advertise. Our writer's guidelines are also available at outlookmag.org/resources.
While you're there at outlookmag.org/resources, you can also download our communication handbook and Outlook style guide.
As we close this presentation, we want to say thank you to all of you. It's the stories from local churches that make up the majority of the magazine. Without you, there would be no Outlook. May God bless you all.